Hello, my name is Christian Stampfer. I'm working in the EU Regional Policy Unit in Tyrol in Austria. Our unit is responsible for local, regional and cross-border development in Tyrol, Austria. To succeed with especially cross-border development we're talking about, I think governance is a key issue to really go beyond project financing. It is a strategic approach to foster a long-term cross-border cooperation and cross-border development between Italy and Austria. In our meaning, in our situation, territorial governance combines the local actors directly at the border where which affects people's life every day and is crucial for the development of the areas there. And territorial governance also includes the regional stakeholders, which means the presidents of the region, the regional parliament, and also the regional administrations on regional level, who have the capability to influence and change border obstacles for the local level. So they are main driving forces also to create cross-border development and create a cross-border identity. So for us, territorial governance means a horizontal platform of all relevant actors within the local and the regional level, and a cooperation between the local and regional level for a better cross-border integration. Now we can go to the second slide. Cross-border cooperation between Austria and Italy was already active quite before we started this programming period in 2014. What we did in this programming period was to foster the cross-border cooperation by using tools provided by the European regulation and shifting the power of decision-making from the management authorities, so from the program level down to the local level. And the tool we were using is CLLD approach, community-led local development. So the community, the local people in the area are in charge of their further development. And by using CLLD in cross-border programs, we are the only program within Europe or in Europe which is using this concept. We were setting up a separate priority for CLLD, priority 4 with investment priority 9D, and there we allocated about 15.4 million euro on public funds, which is about 16% of all public funds available in the program for the local areas to decide on. We didn't build these cross-border development organizations from scratch. We were building on existing leader areas, so-called LACs, local acting groups, which were working in this area since more than 15 or 20 years. These local areas have their local strategies already in place. And what we did, we started a call for a cross-border CLLD strategies, which is based on the local strategies of the leader areas involved in the CLLD CPC. On top, in Austria, it was also possible to make a common call for leader ERFRD, the ERDF program on regional level, and Interreg Italia Austria for these CLD areas. This has an additional benefit. Here we have a lead fund. The lead fund is the ERFRD, and the lead fund is also covering all management costs. So for Interreg, for the Austrian side, the Interreg program doesn't even have to pay any management costs for the cross-border CLD areas. This was not a local level. On the regional level, within Interreg Italy, Austria, we also have two EGTCS working together and trying to cooperate across the border. They are important partners for the CBC cooperation, also for the CLD areas, because the regional cooperation, the cross-border cooperation, tries to help also the local cross-border cooperation in fostering their efforts. First, I want to concentrate on the CLD areas. The next slide shows first the program area. The program area is the light blue area. This is the program area of Interreg Italy, Austria. The highlighted areas within there are the four CLD areas. We have the CLD area Territorial, totally in the west, and the CLD area Viptal, the CLD area Dolomiti Life, and the fourth CLD area is between Carinthia and Friuli. What you can see here is that these areas are directly at the border. So these are the main focuses to foster the cooperation at the immediate border, where people meet and commute daily. All the four areas are now well established. They work properly and have some really good results during this programming period. There will be, for the future, some minor changes. We will have still the four CLD areas, but some areas will enlarge a little bit. The CLD area number 2, Viptal, will become a little bit bigger, and the CLD area 4 will also enlarge a little bit. Next slide. The beneficiaries now for the CLD areas are number 1, Territorial. Territorial consists of 3 LACs, Landeck and Imst in Austria, and Finchgau in Italy, and also has as one partner Engiadina Bassa. This is the nature park in Switzerland, so also a Swiss territory is part in this CLD area. It has about 150,000 people living in this area. The second area, the smallest CLD area, cross-border CLD area we have is Viptal. Here, the 2 LACs of the northern Viptal in Tyrol and the southern Viptal in Südtirol are the partners. The Viptal is mainly known also due to the Brenner Pass, one of the main passes and crossroads through the Alps from Italy into Germany. The third CLD area is Dolomiti Life. Dolomiti Life is the biggest area with about 200 inhabitants. It consists of 3 LACs, Osttirol in Austria, Pustertal and Belluno in Italy. And it's the only 3 area where also 3 regions are involved. Tyrol in Austria, South Tyrol in Italy, and Veneto in Italy too. So also the involvement of 3 regions and 3 LACs makes this area the most complex area to deal with. And the fourth area is called Heropen. It's the area where 1 LAC in Austria, Hermagor, and 2 LACs in Friuli, Venezia, Giulia, Euroleader and Open Leader are together with about 90,000 people living in there. Another specialty is that area number 3 and number 4, they also have the language barrier. While area number 1 and 2, there the people speak German. So it's way easier for them to define and implement cross-border projects. In the areas number 3 and 4, the people speak also German on the Austrian side and Italian on the Italian side. And so therefore, they have way higher effort to get the good cross-border integration and cross-border cooperation programs. But as I mentioned before, all 4 areas are doing really well, and they have succeeded well in this programming period. The lead partners of all the 4 areas are the Austrian leader areas. This is mainly due to the reason that Austria was presenting earlier the call for leader areas, and therefore the Austrian areas became also the lead partner for the cross-border CLD areas. The next slide shows you now the 2 EGTCs that we have within the territory of Italy and Austria. One is Europaregion Tirol, Alto Adige, Südtirol, and Trentino. The territories involved, there is the province of Tyrol, South Tyrol, and Trento in Italy. And the other one is Senza Confini, where the province of Carinthia in Austria and the Italian regions Friuli, Venezia, Giulia, and Veneto are involved. The overarching objective of the EGTCs is the same as for the CLD areas, to strengthen the cross-border cooperation at regional level. CLD is at local level, EGTCs at regional level. So the same goal also on the wide range of cross-border cooperation which is possible and which these entities are dealing with. At the beginning, for sure, they started with awareness raising of the joint history and the joint cultural heritage. So at the beginning, they did a lot of cultural projects, they did a lot of youth projects, and now they are heading on to different other cooperation projects. One example for this is Research and Development Fund, which was established in 2014, financed by regional money. Every year, the Europaregion Tirol, South Tyrol, and Trentino has a call running with about 3 million euro, where research and universities can apply for projects, and they will be funded on top of the Interreg projects. Next slide, please. So what are the lessons, what we learned now from using CLD and combining the governance between the local and the regional cross-border cooperation? The first lessons, what we learned is you need to have a strategy. A strategy is an important cornerstone for long-term cooperation. For sure, you can work together also without a strategy. And at the beginning, a lot of cross-border cooperation start just with working together and implementing projects. But if you want to be successful on the long run, you need to have a strategy. CLD, therefore, is for us crucial because it foresees you need to have a strategy to even apply as a CLD area. The strategy has to be drawn by the local actors, so it's a totally bottom-up approach, which means also that the local actors have to think about what is necessary and what can help us to foster cross-border cooperation, and is also, I think, a great tool to bring Europe closer to the citizen on the cross-border level. A second thing, which is also really important for us, this strategy has to be integrated and cross-sectoral. So you need to have a wider range of cooperation, not only focus on one topic. And what is also necessary to involve all relevant stakeholders, at least to try to get them into the process, because the more people are thinking about it, the more people are working on this tool, the bigger is the strategic view and the more success you will have on the long run, because we are talking about governance. So the strategy is the starting point. On the long run, you need all these actors to implement also the strategy, and the more you involve at the beginning, the more actors you will have on the long run for the implementation. We did this under policy objective 5, where we programmed CLLD, and from the beginning we were focusing on the governance between the local and the regional level. And since 2017, we have set up a cooperation agreement between the CLD areas and the EGTCS, where they try to coordinate their efforts on project implementation, where the EGTCS try to support the CLD areas, and therefore both of them are helping each other to stronger the ties for the cross-border cooperation. The clear distinction is still clear. CLD works on local level, is the driving engine for the local cross-border cooperation, and the EGTC works on regional level. With this cooperation agreement, we try to streamline these two efforts, that they work as closely together as it is possible. And what is also important in our opinion is the communication about the results, about the achievements, that the public knows what's going on and can see the long-term effects, what it has. I want to show you with the next slide an example how this works in the sector of tourism. On the right side, you see the example. The EGTC has implemented a project creating a Regio family pass. The Regio family pass is a benefit for families, for tourist attractions on both sides of the border, so in the whole CBC area on regional level. The Regio family pass also is promoting activities for the tourist sites on regional level, and is also combining the tourist information with public transport opportunities, and also benefits for the families using the public transport. The main goal on EGTC level is getting the people move within the cross-border area from one region to another, getting to know the attractions and the people there, and therefore also foster the ties between the people on both sides of the border. On local level, CLD is working on an integrated approach regarding tourism, regarding nature tourism, national parks, nature parks are involved there, regarding cultural tourism with all the museum, cultural activities, and also regarding public transport, they try to foster it. So very similar to the measures what are done on regional level. The local level is more or less doing the same there. For example, in the area of Territorial is working for about 15 years now, also on the topic of mobility. to increase the passes from one side of the border to the other side of the border, to have a perfect mobility system, which also is integrated within tourism projects, what they have. And they were able now, in cooperation with the regional level, to have a bus system available, which is now hourly commuting from the hubs on each side of the border to the other side. And so therefore, most of the attractive tourist attractions are possible to reach now with public transport. On the left side, you see out of this example how we want to implement and go further with CLD and EGTC working together in the new programming period. We still will provide in project priority objective 5 for the CLD areas the possibility to present their new strategies and work together in the way they have started now. And we will establish also another priority called better cooperation and governance. Here we will address the EGTCS in the programming area, that they foster also through the program their effort for cross-border cooperation. And in the middle, you see the big yellow arrow between CLD and EGTC. And what we expect and what we will do is that it will be formalized, this vertical governance between CLD and EGTC also within the program. And this will be also then the guideline for both actors, CLD areas and EGTCs, to go on with the work regarding cross-border integration. Next slide, please. In 2014, when we started with CLD in Interreg, Italy, Austria, it was a test, it was a pilot action. So we were not sure if it will be successful or not. We just gave it a shot and we tried it because on regional level and also the program authorities thought it would be a perfect concept to foster the cross-border cooperation directly at the border. Now we see that these structures are established. We see also that they are accepted by all program partners, so all regions are in favor of this concept. And also the midterm evaluation, which is ongoing at the moment in the Italy-Austria program, are pointing out the added value that this concept has, and are encouraging us to go further. So the first or the one success factor is for our program based on the governance between the local and the regional level. This may seem obvious that two structures having the same concept should work together. But for sure it's not, because CLD, as it is said, community-led local development is addressing the bottom-up level. So it's addressing the people on the ground. And EGTC is addressing the regional level. So it's not so obvious that both of them are also thinking, okay, let's try to define the linkages between these two concepts. And it's also important to define these linkages on in a partnership way. That not the top-down level, on regional level is telling the CLD areas what they should do. It has to be on the discussion on the same level, where they define how they want to work together. And clearly for us, it needs to be that the decision making for CLD has to remain on local level, so bottom-up level, and the decision making for the EGTC is on regional level. And to define these linkages, to define the cooperation agreement between the local and the regional level is, in our opinion, crucial to be successful. As I mentioned before, we didn't start from scratch. We already had developed CLD or leader groups at the beginning, and were extending them in a cross-border cooperation. So we were building on a long experience of at least local development, now extended into cross-border development, which means there are structures which know how to work together, know how to work with the people, are working together with the people over several periods of time, and now are also used to work together on the cross-border level, and therefore are able to also implement cross-border cooperation, which should be on the long run also sustainable. Why do we think it is sustainable is because we see that the acceptance on the local level and also on the regional level for this type of cross-border cooperation has increased a lot due to the visibility of the projects, what the people are implementing, and also due to the strategic framework they are working in. And last but not least, with this structure, we have now an institutional setting for cross-border cooperation on local level, which means people in the area, whoever wants to work cross-border with other actors, know to whom they have to revolve to whom they have to talk about, and try to get the programs or projects going. Who will assist them, will help them in preparing the project, find the partners also on the other side of the projects. So this institutional setting of the CLD areas is facilitating a lot cross-border cooperation, coordination, implementation, and also cross-border lobbying from this CLD areas towards the regional and also the national level. And also what we experience now is also a huge acceptance on the political level, either from the mayors on the local level up to the president of the regional level, who encourage us to go on with this concept, because they also see that it helps them on the regional level to reach their goals with regional cross-border cooperation. And this gives us a lot of hope that the setup we plan for the new programming period will be successful too, and help us on the long run to even foster more cross-border cooperation. Thank you so much for your attention, and all the best.
Christian, I thank you, because I think your program represents, of course, the high end of governance, but still I think other programs can take a lot home to see that if you continuously invest into such structures, into institutional structures, cooperation, fostering cooperation across the border, that you really harvest the benefits after years, and that it's a process which is gaining momentum over the time. So that's what I like particularly. And yes, I hope you have enjoyed seeing this video, and hope to see you also visiting other videos produced by us in this series on Policy Objective 5 and functioning areas. Thank you.
Thank you also, and for sure I will follow them also, because I also interested what other areas are doing, because you just can learn from each other, you know, and that's the important thing. You don't need to invent the wheel a third or a fourth time. As I mentioned to you before, we also use the ESCOM Ulysses concept, which was one of the main bases also of the CLE concept, as the CLD strategies, because I think also what they tell us in there about added value is a guideline where we should go on the long run, and on what topics we should foster also. So I think you can only learn when you share and exchange your experience. Yeah?
Thanks.